Hey everyone, welcome to the Internet of Things podcast. This is your host, Stacey Higginbotham, and your co-host,
Kevin Tofel.
And today we have an amazing show for you. We are actually recording from CES. I'm going to be honest, we're at a bar in Vegas, and so we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully you enjoy the slice of life that we're offering you here. This is episode 197 of the show. This show is sponsored by Faircom, which has a new C-Tree IoT Edge database to talk about later on in the show. And you're going to hear all the news that we've seen so far at CES, plus hear from our guest, Jacob Atala, who is with KB Home, talking about how they built the next generation of home, including connected devices, a focus on wellness and sustainability, and more. You're going to like it. I kind of wish I lived in this home now. And now, a message from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is Affero. Are you looking for an IoT platform? Find out why Kenmore and D-Link picked Affero. Affero customers have experienced as much as an 80% reduction in time to market, 99% fewer support calls, and a 10x higher activation rate. Plus, they can reuse 90% of their work from one project to the next. To learn more, visit affero.io. That's AFERO.io. So let's get started with, the biggest news we probably saw was, I'm going to go with, Google Home's big spend.
Yeah, so Google had a press-only event before CES even opened on day one. There were lots of discussions about what they were going to do because they had this, what looked like a ride set up in the parking lot. And there was a ride. I went on it. But the big news was really they're trying to expand and make it easier for hardware makers to implement Google Assistant in devices. So that's kind of similar to what Amazon has done with the Echo, and the details are scarce. It's coming soon for hardware makers.
And you're talking about Assistant Connect, correct?
I am talking about it.
And that almost compares to the Amazon Madam A Connect kit, but that is a hardware-based system that lets you basically slot this thing into your device, and then you have all of the functionality you need to connect to Madam A. The Google one isn't a hardware device yet. It may one day also have a hardware component, but now it does not. What else should we know about it, Kevin?
Right. So developers and hardware makers will find out in the coming weeks how they can implement that. There are some new devices. I guess you could call them new form factors. There's a small little 4-inch touchscreen Lenovo device that it looks like a little mini Google Home Hub, but it's really called the Google Smart Clock. So it has a speaker, it has a microphone, but you're not going to watch videos on it, at least not yet. You're not going to see Google Photos on it, at least not yet. It's really meant for setting smart alarms, which it will set based on your morning and evening routines, which is kind of nice. And it's only $79.
Wait, do I have to set those routines?
Well, it's probably going to suggest some, but you could override or you could set your own. I mean, you think about it now when you use Google Assistant, it knows where you work, when you work, your commute and all that. So based on traffic, it might say, hey, we need to get up earlier today because there's been a huge accident, et cetera. It should take care of that for you. They said it will suggest based on your routines.
That's pretty cool. It will not show you photos, but that's okay. And now that we're talking about it, I'm like, was Google's news the biggest news? I don't know. The bigger news might be the Samsung ecosystem kind of effort news. What do you think? The TV news with the remote control with, of course, your buddy Bixby and Madam A and Hey Google on it?
And the iTunes, for crying out loud. That was kind of coming out of nowhere for Samsung to partner up on the smart TVs with Apple. But yeah, so a lot of the Samsung press event was a rehash of the last, I'd say, 2 years, to be honest. There were very few, I'll say, product announcements and more of a vision. And that vision is still Bixby. But I think I had said last week in a post that if they do partner up with somebody else, then maybe that's the white flag for Bixby. And that's what they've done. They are partnering with Google. You will have Google Assistant on all Samsung smart TVs this year. The Family Hub is getting upgraded to Family Hub 2.0, and that's for the fridges and things that have integrated screens. I mean, they showed off the photo frame feature of that again, but you don't want to spend $8,000 on a fridge for a photo frame. However, it did have recipe suggestions through Bixby and...
No howevers here. I'm not going to spend $8,000 on a fridge with a giant screen that has limited value.
Have another drink and you might. Yeah, I agree with you. They're trying to do too much, I think, with the fridge. They had, washing machines that would give you notifications when the washing machine is done, your laundry is ready to be put in the dryer or folded. And that's something people have asked us. How do I set notifications? And we kind of joked and said, we'll buy a new washer and dryer. But really, that's what's happening.
So yes, and speaking of the appliance space, I'm just going to say, are you guys ready to have a range hood that has a screen in it or some sort of crazy AI in it? So GE Appliances, which is now actually owned by Haier, the Chinese company, they were showing off, and I had seen this before, a 27-inch touchscreen, beautiful thing that sits, it's part of your downdraft that comes over your stove. And I mean, it's like the hub of your kitchen. It shows recipes. It does a lot, but I don't feel like I need this. It's crazy expensive. Bosch also, for their kitchen appliances, was showing something much smaller than that, but also did have kind of some screen functionality and intelligence associated with a downdraft, basically, or an updraft. What are those things called?
Wind? I don't know.
No, it's the thing that comes over the stove and like sucks all the bad air away.
A fan?
Yeah, okay. He doesn't know either. Anyway, so I was running around like looking at some of the smarter kitchen stuff. I did look at some of the Haier washer and dryer. Again, same thing. What has become very clear, though, is you will not be able to buy a device that isn't connected to the internet if it's a fridge, probably even a dishwasher, definitely an oven or a stove, and probably a washer and dryer. So your major appliances are going to be connected. And what I didn't hear anyone talking about, what I asked about, was like how the heck they plan to support these and how long they plan to support these. Because it's kind of a security risk. And I mean, some of these are built on I don't know, actually, they're not built on Android things anymore. They used to be built on like Android tablets, which was like scary as all heck. But I don't know, it feels risky. And it also feels like it adds a lot of expense with maybe not as much value. And this is coming from a woman who spends a lot of money on smart home stuff. So that's kind of that. I would say, honestly, the big theme here has been disappointment. I've been looking for like really cool things. And granted, we're only a day in, but a day and 2 media days in, but I'm not seeing anything that's like, whoa, that's the future of technology right there. What about you, Kevin?
I would agree. And we said last year how you saw Madame A and Google Home everywhere. But this year, it's actually, there are more mentions or products with those integrations than there are without those integrations. So it's even more than last year. Yeah, I've seen a lot of wacky stuff. Just, I don't know, technology companies trying to like add smarts or something to sleep and
wait, we must address the toilet in the room, which is the Kohler smart toilet that has Madame A built into it. And I like Kohler stuff. They have a Madame A powered faucet. They have some integrations with Hue that are going to, have lighting recipes for your bathroom and your morning routine. But I don't know. I don't think I need a Madame A in a toilet. What about you, Kevin?
I certainly do not. And what you could do, and I saw this at the Kohler Connect thing today, the booth, they do have voice integration in their mirrors now. So that's a more appropriate place, I think, for it. I don't need, my personal information about my toilet going out.
Wait, your bodily functions? You don't want Amazon knowing about those?
I don't particularly care because my privacy is gone. But most people probably don't want to, hey, he just did a number 2.
Kevin, I think you need a little more toilet paper.
Yeah. So I like what Kohler's doing on the Connect stuff with the faucets and the shower scenes where you can have customized shower routines for individuals, I think that's great. But I don't think it needs to be in a toilet. I like the mirror because I'm looking at that. It's got my attention.
So there are actually a couple smart mirrors here, mostly from smaller companies and then things like Kohler. So what are you looking for in a smart mirror? I'm just curious because I'm like, oh, it feels so obvious. But then I'm like, wait a second. Do I really need that? Because I have a Google Home in the bathroom. I talk to it all the time and it gives me a lot of information I would need from the mirror.
I think that would be redundant then. And I think most people do not have like a home hub in a bathroom. No screens in the bathroom for most people.
Oh, sorry. It's not a home hub. It's a mini. It's a Google Mini. So there's no screens. But I mean, I ask it what's on my calendar. I ask it for the news. I guess it could play videos.
I don't know that I'd be watching the news or anything like that on my smart mirror in my bathroom. But, there's something about having the visuals when you ask for information, like what's the weather today? you don't just hear what today is happening. You get a visual of hour by hour, perhaps, right? It's more immersive.
So that picture of the cloud with the little rain droplets is real important to you.
Yeah, or Vector with his little eyes crying because it's raining. Yeah.
Oh, and let's bring this up because Kevin managed to find the only possibly Madam A powered robot in the whole place. And he is very excited and had to follow him. And I am not super excited. But Kevin, what is this product and why are you excited about it?
All right. The robot's name is Temi. The company is RoboTemi. It's a $1,500 robot. It's a companion robot, kind of like Vector, only obviously more expensive and bigger. It's probably about 3 feet tall. It's got a really nice high-resolution display, which tilts and follows you because it has a camera. So you can use it for video conferencing. You can use it for getting information. But they have announced that they didn't do it yet, they are planning to integrate Madam A in the coming months. And actually, Amazon announced the same. So I think that's going to happen. But it is $1,500, so I don't know. But the icing on the cake, behind Temi's robotic head, there's a place to put your phone that wirelessly charges your phone. The battery lasts for 8 hours. Did you know that? It can follow me around my house all day long.
I'm sure it will be a very fulfilled and happy robot, Kevin.
Yes, and I'll be divorced. Me and Temi for eternity.
Kevin's alone with his $1,500 robot. It's not even pretty. In other Amazon news, we had a bunch of products come out that can be controlled by Madam A. Leviton, Moen, blah, blah, blah. More interestingly was IKEA launched their new smart roller blinds that can be controlled through Madam A. I saw these actually back last spring, I think, whenever I visited IKEA, I got to see these and they were pretty cool. And the price points on them were pretty cheap. I don't know, did IKEA announce pricing?
I didn't see pricing, but no. No, I was going to say I heard they're cheap, but I don't.
They are the pricing they gave me was pretty cheap. So let's see. Other than that, there was a lot of one-off little devices. There was a lot of stuff with Amazon Automotive. So it ties in with Pioneer, Electrobit, some other companies. I am still waiting for my Amazon Auto device, actually.
Really? And that's interesting because today Google also announced 2 new car hardware partners, JBL and Anker. So basically you plug these into your cigarette lighter and then it actually lets you connect your phone to your car and it has its own noise canceling microphone to make it better for your input in the car. So I don't know pricing on those. They were just shown off today, but yeah, they want in the car as well.
In addition, Amazon, there was actually one kind of piece of news that I thought was really interesting is that Chamberlain is working with them to bring the MyQ garage door ecosystem for Amazon Prime members. Now you can have your packages delivered through Amazon Key program to your garage, which I was like all there for that because Amazon Key, Amazon people in my home, no. Amazon people in my garage, yeah, sure. I don't know, Kevin?
Yeah, that makes more sense. That wouldn't work for me because we leave the inside door open all the time, unlocked rather. But
I can find you a smart lock to open and close that.
No, that's okay. I've locked myself out one too many times, so I just leave it unlocked now. But most people would have a setup where it would be safer, more secure, and they'd be comfortable letting Amazon drop the package in the garage. So
yeah, and think about it this way. You could put a refrigerator in your garage. A lot of people already have something like that. You could get groceries and crazy stuff.
Whole Foods.
Oh yeah, Amazon's Whole Foods. See? Okay, so that's going to be in 37 cities, and there's not a fee associated with that. And people who are like diehard Chamberlain users may be surprised by that because they did a fee associated with their if this then that integration. It was like $1 a month, but people were up in arms. I talked to Jeff Meredith, who is the president and COO of Chamberlain, about this, and he said that they are evaluating their fee strategy and they don't think they're going to do that going forward. So I don't know what's going to happen with your IFT fees, but maybe you won't see that happening?
I hope not, because most people use IFT services for free. So the add-on was what turned people the wrong way, and I understand that. I think it should go back the other way to free, but it's up to them, obviously.
Well, and IFT does cost money for companies to actually, their services are not free.
They're free for us, but most companies subsidize or whatever. Yeah, I hear you.
So, bunch of small news items that are worth talking about. Let's see. D-Link has an outdoor outlet that's going to be about They're not 100% sure on the pricing yet, but it's IP44 rated. So not the best version of that, but it is a Wi-Fi outdoor outlet. If you want an IP64 rated, which means you could drop it in a puddle, you would actually go with the new TP-Link Casa lineup. They actually are going to launch an outdoor rated IP64 version of a Wi-Fi outlet. So that's pretty sweet. The TP-Link guys are actually putting in a whole bunch of new products, smart camera, outlets, a bunch of stuff, and they're actually going to create some sort of smart AI home system. We're going to be trying that when it comes out. It's not going to be out till March or later.
So one other thing that I really liked, because I want to get rid of devices and boxes in my house, and I'm not saying I'm going to replace all the smoke detectors in my house. However, I was very impressed by the First Alert OneLink smoke detectors that have mesh networking built in. So they're a smoke detector, a carbon monoxide detector. They have Madam A built in, so they have a mic and speakers. So now that you can play music on them, there's a Google Assistant model in the works. Unfortunately, it sounds like you're going to have to choose to buy the Madam A version or the Google Assistant version. They're working on it. There's no pricing yet. I know the current model without mesh networking is $249. So my guess is you're looking at least $300 for these things. However, these are your Wi-Fi access points throughout your house. They get rid of all the other devices that, your smart speakers, your mesh access points. So you free up a lot of outlets, which I think is big. And yeah, I mean, if you get mesh networking throughout your house, that's a bonus. Plus, they're smart in the sense that if it detects some issue, it knows what room it's in, just like when you set up lights in a particular room in your smart home, and it can say, hey, there's a fire in your office or whatever. So,
but I'm sorry, it is $200 or $300. How much?
Well, they're $249 without the mesh right now.
Okay, so $249 without the mesh. I have at least 10 smoke detectors in my house.
You don't have to replace them all. You can have a very capable mesh network with just maybe 2 or 3 of these.
I'm giving you the look, and it's in person. I'm like, I don't think so, Kevin. Okay, let's see. What else did we see? Lutron. So Lutron announced a smart fan control switch, and this is nice because it controls your fan, all different speed elements. We get a lot of requests for this. Most people want Wi-Fi and not like the Lutron proprietary, but if you have it, I'd say go with your Lutron. It'll be lovely. I'm trying to think of what else that I saw. Oh, GE actually has a new switch, and it is a Wi-Fi switch. Oh, that's a big trend.
Yes.
Lots of people are sick of having hubs, which Kevin and I will totally agree with. Kevin's like waving his hands like, yes, yes.
Well, I'm not sick of having hubs, but I kind of gave in and waved the white flag and said, I guess hubs are dying a slow, painful death. You wouldn't believe that if you went past the Z-Wave Alliance booths like I did today. There are lots of products there. But manufacturers are starting to move towards Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to natively work with the digital assistants, so that way there's no hub needed. And GE's new C bulbs, it's C by GE?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are Bluetooth.
Those are Bluetooth for Google Home.
For Google Home, and they are $30 for your regular bulb and $40 for your downlight.
VR30.
VR30, right. So it's a little bit expensive, but, I'm thinking about, do I just pull the plug on my Wink now? Because I don't really use too many sensors, so I go hubless.
Oh my gosh, Kevin. I could not go hubless because all my Christmas decor and all my holiday lighting is on a Z-Wave outdoor switch. But now with all the Wi-Fi options, the D-Link option, the new TP-Link option, you could actually do this. And a lot of people are just now getting into the smart home. The people who listen to the show are probably not those people, but there are plenty of people out there who are like, Wi-Fi me. And we saw, if I'm going to pick trends for the show, that's definitely one of the trends, which is like, oh my God, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Do not give me anything weird. No Z's.
Death of the hub is what it seems like.
All right, so we're killing the hub. We're going to call it CES 2019. The hub. Dead.
Yeah.
I was giving Kevin a moment to say any words of a eulogy for the hub.
I'll miss my hub because there are a lot of automations that I set up there that, especially with sensors, what's going to happen? There are still motion sensors and door sensors and so on that my garage door sensor, Z-Wave or Zigbee, my Cree bulbs,
Guys, Kevin he's exhuming the hub right now. He's bringing it back. So I will say I ran into 2 sensors, Bluetooth-based sensors from Ruvio is the company's name, and then Thingsy. I'm going to try to get review units of those to see how long they last, how they perform. Bluetooth did announce, some improved mesh efforts and also profiles for the smart home. So this is something they're going to start doing is they've done profiles for lighting and, they've got audio forever. But as they expand into more and more types of devices, they are trying to build software on top that makes it easier to determine what they are and how they should work. So in 2019, 2020, we should start seeing that, and that should make a difference in the number of sensors and that sort of thing out there. Let's see. Since we're talking about protocols and stuff, we'll talk about, hey, guess what? Thread talked about ... again. If you listen to our CES episode, we talked about how this is the third year that we've heard about the Thread Alliance pushing ... which is this uniform standard. It works over Wi-Fi. It works over Zigbee, Thread. We're just still here on that. We're not going to see those products for a while.
Yeah, this is third time around now. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. So I don't understand what's happening there.
Your interoperability is coming from Amazon Echo or Google Home right now. That is the reality that we've seen in the show. I'll mention it because I didn't see a lot of really cool tech, but I did like this Bosch PAI technology, which is, it stands for projection something. And it's basically a projector that is displayed. You mount it underneath a cabinet in your kitchen, and it projects down something that you can interact with. So it can play videos. It can act as it actually can even estimate the weight of things like a steak, which I thought was kind of crazy. It can identify foods. It's very much designed right now as a kitchen assistant. I have long thought the smart home needed a flexible screen option. So I'm kind of excited by this, but a lot of other people seem to be like, it's not going to work for me.
Well, I don't know what the cost is, so that could be an issue. Flexible screens aren't cheap either. So I think in the kitchen right now, you're looking at a small smart display as an inexpensive option.
So having a smart display, and this, I don't know the price, and it's going to come out in China in March is what Bosch is saying. And in the US a little after that. By flexible, I mean more like I could project it anywhere and I could interact with it as opposed to flexible like foldable, which I'm sure there are foldable screens here at CES. But what I did like about it was that you could interact with it a little bit more interestingly. There was a demo where they showed a cake being sliced, or actually they showed a demo of a cow, and you're like, which part of the cow are you wanting to eat? And you'd press, it was a diagram, it wasn't an actual cow. Oh, okay. And you'd press it, and it would talk to you about how to cook or prep or take care of that steak while you'd have your steak next to you.
Okay, that I get. Yeah, I don't want to see a picture of a real cow. I mean, it's like Bambi,
Bambi was a deer. That's venison.
I know that, but still. I like the thing on the projection on the cake where you would have a slider under the cake, and you can say, I want the cake in this many pieces, and you would slide, and the projector would make that many pieces. It was awesome, so you could cut it exact.
So if it were $300, do you think you'd buy something like that for your kitchen?
I would not, because I don't eat a lot of cake.
Well, you can also, instead of a screen that you have to touch in your kitchen, you would touch your counter, which is not, if you've got sticky hands, it doesn't matter. So it's kind of like a smart display that just turns on when you need it.
I don't know. I'm the kind of guy who can't pass up one of those little hand sanitizers, so I don't have sticky hands. But that's just me.
All right. Well, Kevin clearly doesn't cook. I'm like, at some point in time, you have sticky hands and you just need to get stuff done.
That's why I don't eat ribs or corn on the cob.
Oh my God, that's like an entire summer's worth of food. Okay, that's distressing. The things we find out at CES. All right, let's see. Before we end, what other things do we think were worth noting? I walked through Intel's booth. It was a lot of 5G. I should tell everybody, if you're into 5G, this is the place to be. So much. Walk through Qualcomm's booth. And nothing surprising. Again, that's that. I'm like, nothing super innovative. And I was really disappointed so far by this. If you want a big TV, great. If you want a connected appliance, also fine. But
it could even be an 8K TV, which kind of stinks because there's very little 4K content. But yeah, we're in one of those cycles right now, right? You have something that really moves the needle. And for a couple of years, every company adapts and does whatever that new thing is. But now we're in that cycle of smart speakers, digital assistants. Let's add connectivity to everything, and we're just riding the wave until the next big thing.
All right, so my prediction for the next big thing, interfaces. Oh, how about interfaces that are like embedded in your ears and on your eyeballs. Not your eyeballs, but like the glasses that Kevin and I tried, the North glasses from Thalmic Labs.
My big thing, I'm not going to surprise you. Robot companions, robot assistants.
I'm just like, if my eye roll here could be visible or audible.
Yeah, it was a big eye roll. But she loves my Vector. I send her videos of Vector doing all kinds of cool things, and she loves every single one of them.
It's because he's so cute and personable. All right, so with that in mind, let's take a moment to go to the Internet of Things podcast hotline. This week's hotline is brought to you by Schlage. Smarter homes start with Schlage. Oh, and by the way, we did see at CES a Wi-Fi powered Schlage lock, which is a first and pretty significant for anybody who doesn't want to deal with Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Z-Wave. So all of that is now out there, brought to you by our podcast hotline sponsor. If you would like to leave us a voice message, give us a call at 512-623-7424, and we may just answer your question. So now, let's get to this week's question, which is from Josh.
Hi, Kevin and Stacy. This is Josh Markuski up in Eagan, Minnesota. Love the podcast and appreciate all the information. My question is about the far-field mics that you see in Amazon and the Echo and the Google Home. I'm wondering why they don't just put those in phones. So could you turn your phone into basically a portable Echo or a Google Home? I'd like to just be able to go wherever I am, take my phone out of my pocket, put it on the table, and boom, I've got my assistant right there. So why can't they or why don't they put those far-field mics into the phone for that kind of functionality? Thanks again for all you do.
That's a great and timely question, Josh, because at the Samsung press event, they showed off their new smart TV remotes that have far-field microphones in them. And that's awesome because instead of having the remote in your hand or needing to, you can be anywhere in the room, right? In the center of your living room in front of your TV, and you can just talk to it. For phones, though, that's probably not a typical use case, and I don't think the phone manufacturers really care about that. They want good microphones in there for phone calls and so on, not so much for voice assistants. So I don't think it's going to happen, quite honestly. It might, but I don't think so. It's just not a typical use case because you always have your phone with you. Yes, you may put it down and walk away from it, and therefore you need a far-field microphone, but that's not the use case that most hardware manufacturers of phones think about. So I don't think it's going to happen. It could. We'll see, but that's kind of why they don't have it.
Okay, that's it. So if you guys have a question for us, give us a call at 512-623-7424. And now, stay tuned for our interview with Jacob Atala of KB Home, talking about how they built a smart home here in Vegas. Hey everyone, we are taking a break from the Internet of Things podcast for a message from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is Faircom, a database company, and I have Evaldo Oliveira here to talk to us from Faircom. Faircom launched C-Tree Edge as an IoT database back in June, and I'm really curious, why does the Edge need a database?
Well, Stacy, that's a great question. And I guess it's closely related to why edge computing at all, right? My short answer here is response time. IoT is really a major trend that's opening different types of opportunities and new technologies for the market. And these were all completely new. They were not possible before. In many ways, IoT is just another angle of the big data problem that we faced a few years ago, multiplied by the exponential factor. It touches all 4 V's of big data, but mostly volume, velocity, and variety. Sensors produce thousands of data points, and we're talking about thousands of sensors at the same time. This gives an incredible level of precision and granularity to take decisions. Well, but of course, the more data that you produce in real time, the more complex it gets to transport and process all this data. And if you have real-time data being produced and collected, why would it waste a chance to make real-time decisions as well? Streaming all this data to the cloud in order to make these decisions is definitely a non-natural way to handle this challenge. And it has several problems, like the network latency, for example, the reliability of the connection with the cloud, and of course, costs. The cloud is not cheap at all. I think that's where edge computing really comes into the scene.
How does this change the application development?
Well, extracting meaningful information out of this data in real time, this will certainly require a more robust infrastructure for the application point of view, especially the edge computing application. A database is a very important component to help you to do that and make it easier to develop these applications. And I think here, if we have to talk about what would be such database, we definitely see that it certainly needs to be designed knowing all the constraints, like having, for example, a small footprint, gateways on the edge, have a very limited processing capacity. It's very important for this database to support flexible data schemas because the sensors have all kinds of different variety of data and different types of sensors that are being manufactured every day. But above everything, definitely, it needs to be extremely fast. The amount of data points that are produced by sensors in real time and by controllers that you have to control is absolutely incredible. It also increases dramatically the complexity of the environment for these applications.
You mentioned other platforms. What else can an edge database do to help make a developer's life easier?
Yeah, platforms are absolutely important, right? Because the truth is that the way edge applications are being developed right now is on top of different types of computing capacity, and providing databases that support all these platforms is absolutely critical. But there are many other aspects, like it's really important, like type of data that the sensors are producing is what we call time series data. So it's data that's being produced with a specific order and in series, and it's usually timestamped. So a database that timestamps the data for you automatically, collecting metadata from the sensors, will definitely simplify the development of your application. So I think these are all features that an edge application would benefit from having a database on the edge.
Wow, that is a lot of information about databases at the edge. Where can we find out more about this and about Faircom?
We have actually a great white paper that helps you decide and select a database for IoT. You can check it at our website. It's at faircom.com/IoT.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Internet of Things podcast. This is your host, Stacey Higginbotham, and today's guest is Jacob Atala, who is VP of Sustainability at KB Home. Hi Jacob, how are you today?
I'm very well, Stacey. Thank you for having us on your podcast.
I am super excited. I hear that you are in lovely Vegas, which is where I will be when this show actually airs, and y'all are showing off something pretty neat at CES. Do you want to tell me about it?
Yes, we are very pleased to be rolling out the KB Home project, Where Tomorrow Lives. We took on ourselves the task to explore where the future will be. We strongly believe in innovations, and we know that if you want to predict the future, the best way to do that is to make it yourself. So we're exploring the edges of technology and home building, that intersection between the two, and coming up with a very nice home that we'll be proud to showcase at the time of CES.
So what this is a project that is designed to show several things. So innovation in home building, sustainability, and some smart home elements. So why don't we start with probably the sustainability, or should we go with innovation? Which would you like to start with, Jacob?
Well, it starts with sustainability, because today, in today's environment, sustainability is table stakes. Everything starts for us at KB Home starts with a very high quality home that is also high performance home. That's where it starts. So every home we produce is Energy Star labeled as a home. That means our customers enjoy a home with less utility bills and more comfort. Now, with our concept home project, we went beyond that. So here we looked at how can a home be energy independent, and so went beyond our production homes to a home that is net zero and has battery storage system in it so that it can be fully off the grid as much as possible. That way the customer has very little electricity bills to pay, but at the same time has the stability and security of energy storage in their home in case the grid goes down at any time.
So that's some of the sustainability efforts. Let's talk about the construction innovation that you guys are experimenting with here, because I think that's really, honestly, that may be more game-changing than anything that you're doing here, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, there are many game changers in the home, and one of them is the off-site, fully integrated fabrication of the home, which took place in a factory. First, you start with what's called Building Information Modeling, BIM. BIM models are very, very precise, They also can visually help an architect see where there are conflicts between elements of the home, address these conflicts. When everything is clear and the BIM model is ready, then in a factory setting, CNC machines take over and just cut up all the parts of the house in terms of walls, wall panels, floor panels, and it's now ready for shipping to the site. We actually took what technologies are available today in terms of off-site fabrication a step further. We innovated with the factory to include the insulation at the factory, to install it there, and also the weatherization sheathing from the outside as well. So the house came to the site with insulation in place and reduced the amount of labor needed for insulation on site. When the house came on site, we had a crane there that pulled up the house. In 2 days, we had the whole frame structure of the house done. So from that point on, it was a matter of just finishing up the house, the finishes of the house and the paint and the trim and fixtures of the house. And not one to be missed are all the IoT devices and sensors that we put in the house as well.
We will get to those. And now, so prefabrication, sustainability, are there other building technologies that you guys explored in this that you should talk about or that you want to share?
Certainly, there are many. As I said earlier, we added insulation in the factory, but the form of that insulation was also very innovative. It wasn't fiberglass batt insulation, and it was not spray foam insulation either. It was phenolic type of insulation that has double the amount of insulation value per inch than other systems that are on the market right now. It is a technology coming from Europe that we adapted here. And because it comes in solid panels, it was easy for us to cut it, the CNC machines, to cut them up, put them in the wall bays, and have the insulation already done in the house. That's just one example of several sort of super materials and material innovations that we leveraged in this house.
Oh man, I was so excited when I got the spray foam in my house, and now there's a whole new insulation with better R values. Gosh. All right.
Yeah, but you are much better with the spray foam insulation than what used to be out there 5 years ago.
It is true. But man, go technology. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the other technology you're putting in the house. I promised people smart home stuff, and I'm sure you will deliver. Before we go into like specific devices, talk to me about how you thought about adding connected devices and smarts to this particular home.
Well, Stacy, we leveraged technology to add to the comfort of the home, the ease of living in a home, and the wellness outcomes from living in a healthy, well-constructed home. We wanted technology to serve the homeowner in meaningful ways beyond where technologies are at right now. We started with an understanding of what foundation we want to have in the house. And we know that artificial intelligence is very important. And with it, we can transcend the current automated home, smart home, from simply smart to smarter home, or even the thinking home that will do things on behalf of the homeowner. So artificial intelligence, we got it from Google. We have Google as our platform in the home, both in artificial intelligence and in mesh Wi-Fi network. These are two important foundations from which we built on sensors built into walls, lighting that's smart, appliances that are smart, air conditioning, thermostat, and system that are very responsive to the environment of the home. The end result was we are getting closer to a thinking home that will do things for you.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. And we'll start with this idea of good connectivity makes for a good home, which I totally agree. I'm like, yay, let's get Wi-Fi everywhere. How do you build that into a home and make it easy for the homeowner? So what is the process there?
We started with great partners that understood that the systems for a home have to be simple and easy to use for the homeowner. This is how we can give back time to the homeowner, not to give them a very complex house. But The truth of the matter is that the home of the future could have upward of 75 Wi-Fi devices in it and may have a very sophisticated mesh network. So it's not an easy task going forward, and I think we all still need to innovate a little bit more towards an easier system to manage. I would say Google did a great thing in October 2018 when they revamped the Google Home app, which now incorporates all the elements of the home. So you don't have to go to 20 different apps and open your door and look at the lighting and other things. It's all in one app within the Google Home. So it's innovations like that that will make it easier in the future for customers. The Google Mesh Network is also very user-friendly. You don't have to worry about a lot of IP addresses and so on. A lot of it is sort of masked away from the consumer so that you just have to enjoy, I got a new item, I can plug it into the network and it will join the network kind of thing. So I think innovations come from many parts, but we still have some room to improve in that area going forward.
Let's talk about things like having sensors built into the walls and thermostats and that sort of thing. Even just a few moments ago, we were talking about insulation. Technology has changed so much in 5 years. So that's something I probably wouldn't mess with because, good Lord, you're not going to open up the walls of your home for a while, hopefully. But how do you think about building in technology, which tends to have a much shorter life cycle than traditional building materials?
There is no better time to build in technology than when you're starting from a blank canvas. It's easier to include items built into the wall, but to your point, even these sensors may be surpassed in a few years. So the innovation that we did was to put them in juncture boxes. And so you kind of carve a space for them. We pass to each juncture box a Cat5 cable. And just in case if that particular sensor or IoT device is not Wi-Fi, it will have available to it a cable if we need to use it. But that box, when you create it and you provide it with power and with communications capabilities, is future-proofed to the best that we know how at this time. What we have in them right now are indoor air quality sensors. And then you put a cover plate on that juncture box with the slat and the cover plate so that the air quality sensors can continue to sample the air in the house and passively in the background would be able to say, okay, this room, perhaps they tried something in that kitchen. This room needs more air at this time, and it then sends a signal to the air conditioning system, which is zoned. We have in this particular house 5 different zones. We'll send a signal to the air conditioning system where the system should pump new fresh air into that zone. So that's just one example of built-in IoTs and how we might treat them to keep the house future-proofed for the future.
So let's say I've purchased this home. How do I get it set up to work with my family? And then who do I call if in 6 or 7 months, I don't know, something breaks or I get confused or I'd like to set up a movie time routine? I have no idea.
The homes are getting more sophisticated, and to the extent that we would, anytime KB Home builds a relationship with our customers, we always want it to be a wonderful relationship and a wonderful experience for our customers. So to that extent, KB Home has a collaboration with Dish Smart Home Services using the same network that Dish Satellite TV Entertainment have around the country. They have teams that are specialized in smart home services, and we work with them to give our customers assistance. So initially, after a homeowner moves in, we ask them to call Dish Smart Home Services and ask them to come in at the convenience of the customer. They come in to help them set up the Nest Hello doorbell at the front of the house and the thermostat from Carrier and mesh Wi-Fi network from Google and the speakers, the Google Home speakers. So they come in and spend a couple of hours with the customer where, in my estimation, if the customer was going to do this all on their own, this integration, it might take them a weekend to do it. No, and we prefer it based on the kind of relationships we want to have with our customers, that it is done at the convenience of the customer, and within a couple of hours, the couple of hours are taken to first set up the network and connect all the items to it, do a couple of routines, show the customer how the routines are done, and then leave them with information where they can call for the next 6 months. They can call and get support either online or by phone on any other device they bring to the home. Let's say they go and they buy a new TV that has Chromecast built into it, and they bring it home and they want to connect it to the network. They can get support to do any of these additional IoT items around the house.
Got it. Okay, and let's talk about how this fits in with KB Home and its plans going forward. So there has been, probably for the last 10 years or so, efforts in the home building community to provide services after the sale of the home. So this might be warranties, this might be pest detection. How would something like this new KB Home project fit within that, I guess, additional revenue model?
Sure. I think the future may hold room for somebody that can continue to provide services for the home. It could be in different areas, whether it is the digital smart home area or in the health and wellness, water purification, air filters, fulfillment. There is room for that. And I think some business models are evolving to address some of these opportunities and needs. So from our perspective at KB, for this particular house, it does have a health and wellness system with air purification, water purification systems in it as well. And these things do need the filters changed over time, but we leave it to the customer. If they are very much do it myself type of person, then they can do it themselves, just ordering the filters, or it can be a service provided to come in and change the filters, air and water filters for them on regular basis. What's nice is that the app will continue to remind them when that needs to happen. So if they do it themselves, they still have some reminders and it won't be forgotten.
Got it. And the app is the generic Google app, or is it the KB Home app?
Well, the app is the Darwin Wellness Intelligence application or system, and an application related to it. It controls the indoor air quality sensors that I mentioned earlier, but it also controls lighting and filtration, purification systems for the house as well, the water and the air. And then, of course, can allow you to see status of the house. And the system also can passively do the lighting according to the hour of the day and according to perhaps some presets from the customer. So that's how the Darwin system works, and its app is really a front interface. Use it if you would like to, but if you leave it alone, the house will still be maintained in a nice way, for a healthy wellness way, because of the presets in the system.
Okay, so in addition to this home being prefabricated and having some of that as part of the building materials, you also have made it flexible, almost modular inside. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Stacey, yes, we did that. We designed a home that can flex with the life stages of the homeowner. Currently, it's a 2-story home with secondary bedrooms upstairs that can be used by the homeowner if they have children or boomeranging children and so on. However, at their later life stages where they may not need that, they could separate the first floor from second very easily, because we already built an entrance to the second floor that is independent and a way to separate the 2 floors, so they can separate them for a rental or for a caregiver to be in the upper floor and have full unit up there for their private use. At the same time, we built on the first floor flexible wall, a wall that moves via electricity and a motor. It moves forwards and backwards into a space that we're calling a flex space. When the wall is all the way to the outside of that flex space, that room can be a bedroom or an office. And it even has a wall bed that comes down and certainly becomes a bedroom, and it has a built-in desk as well for an office. When the wall is all the way back into the space, it gives that space over to the great room. So if you have a party, you have family over, you are using more of that room for the open room that makes the great space and is the place to socialize.
Okay, Jacob, that is a lot. I can't wait to see this home in action. This is a project home. Is this something that will be available for people on the market, or how do you plan to use your learnings from this going forward?
Yes, certainly this is a concept home. We built it to explore where tomorrow lives. And to the extent that we experienced many things in this house, we know there are some items that we would love to start bringing into our production homes and make it available to our customers very soon. Case in point is the Darwin Wellness Intelligence System. We're going to be piloting it and offering it in certain markets, see it through and start building on it from a base package and growing it going forward. The same with other technologies in the home. Many of them are already offered by KB Home, smart appliances and many others as well. So there is a lot that we learned from it, and we hope to be making them more production-oriented and bring them to the market within months and coming years.
Awesome. All right. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for sharing with us this vision of the home of the future, or one possible home of the future.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being with you.
That's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, if you'd like more IoT news, sign up for my newsletter at stacyoniot.com. We'll see you next week.